I feel we have a few levels to go and a completely unexplored expansion. I'm not really thinking of doing the whole expansion or doing the leveling zones in the way that we've been doing them so far. Up to this point, I feel like maybe now would be a good time to try and change things up a little bit. So, we are gonna head to Outland. There's Stone Talon Mountains. Remember when I was down there in Malakajin, fighting the Blood Totem over here? Now I'm flying past, and there's probably somebody else down there. These are some beautiful scenic shots of the various zones. Like, look at this border population here. You've got a horde tower with some trees and logging equipment, and it just looks so charming, you know? Really breathes some life in. Like, when you think of World of Warcraft, they always focus in on the who's right and who's wrong, and the war, but there are people in this world who get up in the morning and they go and chop wood, and they go and they eat their flippin' Kodo steak, and then they call it a night. And you've got areas like the Rampart here that are under constant attack. That more highlights what they're speaking to. I'm not entirely certain, but I think the fastest way to get to Outland is just to simply take the portal from Orgrimmar. So I guess that's what we're gonna do. When you're playing this game, if you have no idea where you're going or what to do, you can stop off in Orgrimmar and ask for help with just by typing /2 and then space. It'll give you a chat window. You could use /1. It's probably more proper to use /1. But if anybody notices or cares, they have bigger issues than you speaking on the wrong channel. And here, this is the Zeppelin to Thunder Bluff, where we just came from. There's the Zeppelin. And to get up on top of this plateau, there are many elevators. You just kind of have to pick one and come on up. Beyond that, on this side over here, once you get to there's the Dark Moon Fair thing. Whatever. Once you get to Cataclysm, you'll be sent over to this area, and each one of these takes you to a different spot inside the world as well. All of mine are turned on right now, but yours might not be. I can't click on them because I'm not Cataclysm Zone level yet. But you've got your Vashir, your Deep Home, Mount Hyjal, the Twilight Highlands, and Aldum. So Mount Hyjal, you can actually see that from here, I think. It's got a gigantic tree on top of it. Yeah, there it is. So that one's just basically from there to there. But it is faster once you've gotten all of those unlocked. All those portals will shorten your travel times considerably, especially to areas that are controlled by the Alliance or on the Eastern Kingdoms. Next, over here in the Valley of Honor, down at the bottom here, once you're in Pandaria's range, there will be a portal to Pandaria here. I don't know where exactly because I'm not in the range and I don't remember, but this is where you'd come to portal to Pandaria. There's also an auction house and a bank here. Each valley, the Valley of Wisdom, Valley of Honor, and the Valley of Strength inside Orgrimmar, each of them has a bank and an auction house. I don't think this is the last place, but this is the next big one. So here, portal to Hellfire Peninsula. That's Outland. Portal to Dalaran here. There's another portal to Dalaran here. There was, anyway. But that was supposed to be to Northrend Dalaran. I don't think... Ooh. Northrend Dalaran, I don't think many people were using it, and I don't think also people found it very convenient to have two portals within looking distance of each other. Here we are at Outland. So this is the Dark Portal here. I'm going to go through it just so that we can see what it looks like to go through it. Okay, so here we have the Alliance and the Horde forces preparing for their attack on Outland. They have a crude map here. So this is the Dark Portal on our side, the Azeroth side. When it first appeared, it created an explosion so massive it wiped out all life for a good long distance. The magical energies are actually still arcing in the area. Yeah, so Dark Portal. If you grew up with playing the Warcraft real-time strategy games, there's always something magical about the Dark Portal. It's so, like the catalyst. Like everything kind of existed before the Dark Portal existed on Azeroth. But without the Dark Portal on Azeroth, there would be no story. I'm not sure how the size converts. I don't know how they're going to come out on the other end. Like, there's not room for 50 guys to stand side by side there. This was the first expansion too, so you go through the Dark Portal and you find out what happens. Like, this was a big mystery. Basically, at the end of Warcraft 2, I believe, you seal off the Dark Portal and Expeditionary Force stays behind to ensure that nothing happens again. And this is the Alliance Expeditionary Force's base right here, called Honor Hold. As you can see, it's seen better days. If you compare it versus the barracks and walls of New Hearthglen, it indeed has seemed to have taken some licks. Uh-oh. I better not get storm bolted. That's a bad idea. That's where you'll find Eretor the Redeemer, the son of Illyria and Terrellian from the Vindicar, if you've been there. Illyria and Terrellian were in that force that stayed behind. Everybody was so curious. What happened to Illyria and Terrellian? Let's go back to Outland and let's find Illyria and Terrellian. Lo and behold, we get to the spot where we, I guess, left them, and all that's there is their child. And they have not been seen for how long. So I found that neat. That was interesting to me. And now we have all three of them all together. Arakoa here. Arakoa are kind of cursed bird people. Kind of humanoid bird people, can't fly. They used to look very different, but we'll see if I get to that story before this leveling series is through. As it stands right now, I've got 4 days before Battle for Azeroth. I was hoping to be 110 by then. It would take a marathon of leveling to get that accomplished. I might be able to do it, but other obligations tend to spring up when I make my mind up to do something like that. This now is Shattrath City. This was the main city for the Draenei when they all had made their home on Argus. Or not Argus, Draenor. As it stands right now, it's more or less a ruin. But it is the first place we've come to where we found our second member that we had left behind in that defensive force. That was Khadgar. Khadgar used to look a little bit older than he does in this picture. And this is a Naru. Not... its name isn't a Naru. It is a Naru. And its name is Adal. We don't get to see Adal much after Burning Crusade. We pretty much have to come here every time we want to see Adal. But he's pretty chill. He's very chill. Super chill. We'll gather up these quests while we can. Speak with some ogres. Shouldn't be too difficult. Now the ogres we're looking for are gonna be down here. In the lower city. That one's not gonna be too hard to do. That's 2 down in the Akendun region. Perfectly fine by me. And a Haggard War veteran.
See you around.
Speak to Adal. Well, I don't know if I said this, but if you're looking for Adal in Shattrath City, for the gigantic column of light, it's the first ever raid marker. Just rings some bells in your head. Isn't that nice?
There is much we can learn here.
So Shattrath is full of refugees from all sorts of wars, which is kind of fitting considering this is the place where the most vicious act of the Draenei orc conflict took place. But, like I was saying, Blizzard was talking about they can't be Death Knights and they can't be certain classes because they weren't introduced during those times, so they wouldn't be those classes. But I still have to level through these zones. I would understand if maybe they started you at like 70. Then, hey, there'd be no reason for you to be in Northrend, right? So essentially, a doll came, well, not only a doll, but a few Naru were attracted to Draenor because some of the survivors of that vicious attack were gathered in that chapel down there, like he said, and they were there praying to the light, like priests and paladins when they have nothing else to fight for. If they need time to reflect, pretty much that's what they do. They'll go and they'll pray. This is a dangerous quest. And so over time, the priests and guards and survivors and refugees that had gathered here, they ended up pretty much not rebuilding the city, but they've made it their own. Like every Draenei you see, if you just, without the Blood Elves and without the Alliance and without the Horde, that's the state they were in. They were living in the city. They had the protection of the Naru. They had each other, and they were gaining a little bit of strength. Illidan then commanded his lieutenant Kael'thas to attack the city, and the force that Kael'thas sent were the Scryers. They're just a faction of Blood Elves, mages and warriors of some sorts, and they're led by Vorenthal the Seer. And Vorenthal, I guess being, having visions or the power of prophecy, or I don't know what exactly. I don't think they elaborate on it too much more. But he decided to join forces with Adal and the Aldor. And the Aldor are at the top of this tall elevator, and they are the remnants of that priesthood that stayed behind in Shatrath, and survivors that were, mixed in there, all that sort of group. So you got mages and followers of the light and refugees, all kind of mixed together in this little city. And now, just as Illidan feared, the city is looking to strike at him. Now, whether or not that is because Illidan sent out an attack against them or multiple attacks. I don't think they elaborate on that either. But or whether or not, like Illidan out in the back of Shadow Moon Valley there is not doing too many nice things, and not like, it's one thing for him to personally absorb tainted energies and corrupt the land and all those other fun things, but when you start forcefully recruiting and killing people that disagree with you, it's less okay. In my book. That's what I think.